Cutting corruption out of the judiciary. New steps in that direction have been taken in Ukraine, with the country's cabinet of ministers agreeing to present proposals for judicial reform to the Ukrainian parliament. The changes could see a whole new roster of judges introduced, with the cabinet of ministers press service saying that, quote, a full reboot of the judiciary on the basis of transparent competition would be the ultimate aim. At a special meeting of Ukraine's Reform Council this week, Deputy Head of the Presidential Administration, Dmytro Shymkiv, said Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko had given his backing to the reforms. The President has again come out in favor of a full renewal of judicial manpower. This has to be done with the help of the necessary changes in the legal system. Judicial reform is one of the key demands from the EU if Ukraine is to receive visa-free travel. That requires new legislation, some of which is only now being debated in Parliament. In total, there are 12 new laws which need to go through, all related to Ukraine's fight against corruption. With a November 9th deadline looming, only 3 motions have so far been passed. Among the most difficult laws to enact is the abolishment of MPs' immunity from criminal prosecution. Questions have also been asked over the viability of visa-free travel, given the current migrant crisis now facing the EU. But Ukraine's foreign minister says that that isn't an issue, and that if visa-free travel doesn't happen, the country will only have itself to blame. Against the backdrop of migrant flows which they now have in Europe, we need to demonstrate that we can completely fulfill the criteria. It's not just technical formalities. It means the EU should have confidence in the way we've carried out reforms. It means confidence in the way our new institutions work, in the way we deal with refugees, and in how our identification procedures work. Meanwhile, documents obtained by news outlet European Pravda show that Ukraine's Ministry of Foreign Affairs is also putting pressure on Ukraine's Prosecutor General to do his part to fulfill the EU's demands. In particular, Viktor Shokin has been called upon to create a new committee which will select candidates for the position of anti-corruption prosecutor. The current committee is made up of members of the General Prosecutor's Office whose independence and credibility has been called into question. The Foreign Ministry is demanding Shokin create a new committee to be formed from individuals who are not involved in politics or government service. All the while, the conflict in East Ukraine continues, with parts of the Luhansk and Donetsk regions still under occupation by Russian-backed militants. As a result, Ukraine does not have full control over its border with Russia, a potential stumbling block on the path to visa-free travel with Europe. But Klimkin believes that everything is still possible. With regard to the question of control over Ukraine's borders, of course, it is crucial for us. The logic of the Minsk peace process includes this as an essential element and ultimate goal. Ukraine should regain control over the whole Ukrainian-Russian border. But this does not prevent us from moving closer to the visa-free regime. A decision from the EU on granting Ukraine visa-free travel for 2016 is expected on December 15th. Ukrainian President Poroshenko has urged MPs to, quote, act as responsible statesmen and cancel their immunity from prosecution in order that privileges, quote, are not preserved for several hundred MPs at the cost of visa-free travel for millions of Ukrainians.